The rain in Harbor City had a way of washing the filth off the streets while leaving the darkness behind. Detective Jack Marlowe knew it better than anyone. He had walked these blocks for 20 years, watching the city wear down the people who thought they could tame it. Tonight, as the neon lights flickered off wet asphalt, he felt that old, familiar pull in his gut, the sense that something was about to go very wrong. Marlowe leaned against his aging Ford sedan, sipping black coffee from a paper cup when his radio crackled. Unit 12, possible missing person. Caller reports daughter didn't come home last night. Address 1420 Ashwood Avenue, Harbor Heights. Name Emily Carter, age 17. Marlowe straightened, dumped the coffee, and grabbed the wheel. Missing kids were always the worst cases. Too much silence, too many shadows. Ashwood Avenue sat on the edge of wealth and ruin. Mansions with marble columns stood across the street from cracked sidewalks and boarded-up shops. The Carter home was the former, a white, sprawling two-story with trimmed hedges and a red, brick driveway. But when Marlowe knocked on the door, the man who opened it looked like he hadn't slept in days. David Carter was a banker, suit pants still on, shirt wrinkled, tie loose. His wife, Marlene, hovered behind him, clutching a tissue in her hand. "Detective, thank you for coming," David said quickly, voice tight. "It's our daughter, Emily. She never came home from her friend's birthday party last night. When was the last time you heard from her?" Marlowe asked, flipping open his notebook. "Around 10, Marlene said, eyes red. She texted me she'd be home by 11. We waited. By midnight, nothing. We called her phone straight to voicemail." Marlowe nodded, taking it in. She have a history of running off, trouble with friends, drugs. Both parents shook their heads furiously. "She's a good kid," David insisted. "Top grades, volleyball team. She wouldn't just vanish. Do you have a picture?" Marlene hurried to the mantel and handed him a framed photo. A blonde girl with an easy smile, holding a volleyball under her arm, sunlight catching her eyes. She looked like the kind of girl Harbor City liked to chew up. "I'll need a room," Marlowe said. Emily's bedroom smelled faintly of lavender and teenage perfume. Posters of bands lined the walls, and a stack of college brochures sat on her desk. Marlowe scanned the space carefully. A phone charger still plugged into the wall, clothes neatly folded, nothing suggesting she had planned to leave. He opened the top drawer and found a small journal. The parents shifted nervously. "Is that necessary?" David asked. "If she left clues, they'll be here," Marlowe said flatly. The journal wasn't dramatic, just fragments of teenage life. Classes, parties, boy troubles. But the last entry, dated 3 nights ago, caught his eye. "Someone's been following me after practice. I thought it was nothing, but yesterday he was waiting by the bus stop. Dark hoodie, tall, always watching. I didn't tell Mom and Dad. Don't want to freak them out, but I'm scared." Marlowe closed the book slowly. His jaw tightened. "Your daughter thought someone was stalking her." Marlene gasped, hand flying to her mouth. David swore under his breath. "Why didn't she tell us?" Marlene whispered. "Because she was 17, Marlowe said grimly, "and kids think they're invincible, until they're not." Back in his car, Marlowe lit a cigarette he wasn't supposed to smoke anymore and let the smoke curl through the rain-fogged windshield. Harbor City had predators. They lurked in bus stops, bars, and dark alleys, hunting kids who thought the world was safe. The question wasn't whether Emily Carter had run away. The question was, who had taken her? His phone buzzed. It was dispatch. "Detective, we pulled traffic cam footage near the party Emily attended. At 10:45 p.m., she was seen walking alone toward Harbor Square. At 10:48, a dark SUV pulled up beside her. Camera lost them 2 blocks later." Marlowe exhaled smoke and crushed the cigarette out. A black SUV in Harbor City, that could mean a dozen things: gang pickup, human trafficking, or just the wrong ride at the wrong time. But one thing was certain: Emily Carter hadn't simply disappeared. Someone had taken her, and Jack Marlowe was going to find out who. The next morning, Harbor Square was alive with commuters, food carts, and street musicians, but Marlowe's eyes were on the shadows. He stood at the bus stop where Emily had last been seen, hands in his coat pockets, scanning every corner. A man in a gray hoodie leaned against the wall, smoking. He had the build of someone who belonged to the streets, lean, restless, eyes darting. Marlowe approached slowly. "You hang around here last night?" The man squinted. "Maybe. Why you ask?" 17. "Year. Old girl went missing. Blonde, volleyball player. You see her?" The man hesitated. Then he flicked ash onto the ground. "Yeah, she was here. Some SUV pulled up. She got in. Didn't look forced, though. Did you see the driver? Couldn't tinted windows, but she looked nervous, like she didn't want to be seen." Marlowe's instincts flared. If Emily knew the driver, that changed everything. He slipped the man a 20. "If you remember more, you call me." By late afternoon, Marlowe was back at precinct headquarters, staring at the traffic footage frame by frame. The SUV plates were blurred by rain, but the outline of a bumper sticker flashed under a streetlight. An old decal from Harbor City University. That was enough. Marlowe leaned back, heart pounding. He knew someone who drove that SUV. And if he was right, Emily Carter's disappearance was about to expose something far uglier than a single abduction. Detective Jack Marlowe didn't believe in coincidences. A missing teenage girl, a black SUV with a Harbor City University bumper sticker, and a stalker's warning scribbled in a journal. These weren't puzzle pieces scattered at random. They were a trail, and Marlowe had spent his life following trails. At precinct headquarters, he spread out the evidence on his desk: Emily's journal, the still images of the SUV, and the report from the Carter parents. The rain outside rattled against the windows, and the humming fluorescent lights made the office feel like a holding cell. His partner, Detective Rosa Vega, dropped a file onto his desk. She was sharp-eyed, mid-30s, with a knack for finding patterns in chaos. "Traffic cam gave a squat," she said. "But I dug into city vehicle registrations. Only 3 black SUV in the past 5 years with Harbor City U stickers. 2 belonged to professors, 1 to a grad student. Guess which one fits?" Marlowe raised an eyebrow. "The grad student, bingo, name's Travis Kane, age 24, criminal justice major, and get this, he coaches part-time at the Community Volleyball League." Marlowe leaned forward. The connection twisted his gut. "Emily Carter plays volleyball," he said quietly. Rosa nodded, which means she knew him. By evening, the detectives were standing outside a run-down apartment complex near the university. Graffiti tagged the walls, and the air smelled of fried food and damp concrete. Apartment 3B belonged to Travis Kane. Marlowe knocked hard. Silence. He knocked again, louder. Finally, the door cracked open. Travis stood there in sweatpants and a Harbor City U hoodie, hair messy, eyes bloodshot. "Detectives," he asked cautiously. "We've got some questions," Marlowe said. "Mind if we come in?" Travis hesitated, then stepped aside. The apartment was small, cluttered with textbooks, gym bags, and empty pizza boxes. A framed photo of his volleyball team sat on a shelf. Emily was in the background, laughing with her teammates. Rosa noticed it instantly. "You coach here?" she asked. "Yeah, a couple nights a week," Travis said, rubbing his neck. "Good kids. Emily's one of the best players." Marlowe's gaze was unyielding. "When's the last time you saw her?" "Huh, Wednesday, practice. Why? She went missing Friday night," Rosa said flatly. Traffic cams picked up a black SUV with a Harbor U sticker near her last known location. "Same make, same model as yours." Travis froze, color draining from his face. "Wait, you think I..." No way. I wasn't anywhere near there. I was at the university gym." "Anyone confirm that?" Marlowe asked. Travis shook his head slowly. "I was alone." Marlowe's eyes swept the room. On the counter sat a set of car keys with a plastic whistle keychain. Next to them, a folded flyer for the Harbor Square parking garage. "Mind if we take a look at your SUV?" Marlowe asked. Travis's throat bobbed as he swallowed. "Do I have a choice?" The black SUV was parked in the lot behind the complex. Rainwater dripped down its hood. Rosa clicked her flashlight on while Marlowe opened the back door. The smell hit him first, faint but unmistakable. Lavender perfume. Emily's perfume. Rosa found strands of blonde hair caught in the fabric of the back seat. She bagged them carefully, her expression grim. Travis was sweating now, shifting nervously. "Look, I don't know how that got there," Marlowe cut him off. "Save it. You're coming with us." At the precinct, they put Travis in an interrogation room. A metal table, 2 chairs, one overhead light buzzing faintly. Marlowe sat across from him, arms folded. Rosa leaned against the wall, watching. "Here's what I think," Marlowe began. "You knew Emily from volleyball. You got close, maybe too close. Friday night, you offered her a ride. She didn't want to be seen, so she got in quickly. Then you took her somewhere." Travis shook his head violently. "No, you've got it wrong. I like Emily. She's a good kid, but I didn't take her, I swear." "Then explain the perfume in your car." Rosa snapped. She left it during practice once. I gave her a ride home last month. That's it." Marlowe studied him carefully. The kid wasn't lying easily, but that didn't mean he was innocent. "Where is she, Travis?" Marlowe pressed. "Because if she's dead and you're holding back, that's on you." Travis's hands shook. "I don't know where she is, but I think I know who might." Both detectives exchanged a glance. "Talk," Rosa said sharply. Travis licked his lips. "There's this guy, a man who used to hang around the courts, mid-40s, bald, always watching the girls play, creepy as hell. Emily once told me he followed her after practice. I told her to stay away, but she said he scared her." Marlowe's pulse quickened. "You know his name?" "No, but I heard the kids call him Coach." Later that night, Marlowe drove alone through Harbor City's industrial district. He couldn't shake the image of Emily's last journal entry, the man in the hoodie watching her. Travis Kane might have been guilty, but Marlowe's instincts told him someone else was lurking behind the curtain. He parked near a shuttered warehouse, where volleyball nets leaned against a chain-link fence. Neighborhood kids had mentioned the place before, an abandoned rec center where someone held unofficial games. As he stepped into the shadows, he heard the sound of a whistle, sharp, echoing. A figure stood near the court, adjusting nets in the dim light. Bald, broad-shouldered, mid-40s, just as Travis had described. Marlowe's hand slid toward the revolver under his coat. "Evening, Coach," he called out. The man turned slowly, a crooked smile spreading across his face. "Detective," he said calmly, "I was wondering when you'd find me." That was enough to confirm Marlowe's gut. This wasn't just about Emily Carter anymore. Harbor City was hiding something darker, something that had been preying on its children for years. And Coach might be the key to unlocking it. Detective Jack Marlowe kept his hand near the butt of his revolver as he faced the man in the abandoned rec center. The place smelled of mildew and dust, with broken bleachers scattered in the dark. A single floodlight flickered overhead, throwing shadows across the volleyball nets. The bald man's smile unsettled Marlowe more than his presence. It wasn't fear or guilt, it was anticipation. "You've been watching the girls," Marlowe said, voice low but steady. "Following them. Emily Carter wrote about you." The man chuckled softly. "Kids exaggerate. They see a coach. They think he's a stalker. I just enjoy the game." Marlowe's jaw tightened. "Enjoy it a little too much, don't you?" The man shrugged, spreading his hands like he had nothing to hide. "Name's Raymond Holtz. Used to coach at Harbor High before budget cuts. Now I help where I can. These kids need guidance." "Guidance?" Marlowe snapped. "Emily Carter disappeared Friday night, and somehow your name keeps surfacing." Holtz tilted his head, eyes narrowing. "Detective, if you think I took that girl, you're wasting your time. But if she's missing, then I look closer to home. Families hide things, fathers especially." Marlowe felt a spark of anger, but masked it. "Funny, when someone starts pointing fingers before they're asked, it usually means they've got dirt on their hands." Holtz smirked, unbothered. "You'll see. Harbor City eats its own." Back at the precinct, Rosa Vega was waiting, arms crossed. "Well," she asked. Marlowe tossed his coat onto the chair. "Raymond Holtz, calls himself a coach, got the vibe of a predator, but nothing solid. No priors, no outstanding warrants, just whispers." Rosa frowned. "Whispers don't hold up in court." "Yeah, but instincts do," Marlowe muttered. "That man's not clean." Question is, how dirty is he? Before Rosa could respond, Captain Donovan stormed into the room holding a folder. Marlowe Vigalab rushed the tests on Travis Kane's SUV. The blonde hairs, DNA match to Emily Carter. That's enough for a warrant. Rosa raised her eyebrows. So Travis is our guy. Marlowe rubbed his temples. Or someone planted it. Either way, we don't have Emily yet, and until we do, I'm not ready to close the book. When Emily Carter woke, the first thing she noticed was the smell, mold, damp wood, and something metallic. Her wrists ached from the zip ties cutting into her skin, and her head throbbed. She was in a small room, window boarded up, a single light bulb swinging overhead. Her heart pounded as she pulled against her restraints, but they didn't budge. A door creaked open. The man who entered wasn't Travis Kane. He was older, bald, broad-shouldered, with eyes that studied her like she was a specimen. "Morning, Emily," he said calmly. "Don't scream. No one will hear you." Her throat tightened. "Why are you doing this? My parents, they'll do what they're told." The man interrupted. "Harbor City takes, Harbor City pays, and you, little one, you're just part of the trade." Emily's stomach dropped. She didn't know what he meant, but the way he said trade made bile rise in her throat. The man leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You'll be quiet. You'll stay alive. That's how this works." Then he left, locking the door behind him. Emily let the tears fall silently. She wasn't just missing. She was being used as leverage. Marlowe, the next morning, Marlowe sat in his office, staring at the city map pinned to the wall. He'd marked Emily's last known location, the Carter home, Travis's apartment, and the abandoned rec center. The pins formed a crooked triangle. "Something's off," he murmured. Rosa walked in with 2 coffees. "What's eating you? Travis Kane's guilty evidence is too clean," Marlowe said. "Hair in the backseat, perfume scent. It's almost staged, like someone wanted us to find it." Rosa nodded slowly. "You think Holtz planted it?" "Holtz or someone he works with. That trade he hinted at. It smells like trafficking. Harbor City's had whispers for years. Girls vanishing, cases going cold." Rosa set the coffee down, her expression hardening. "So Emily's alive. If she's leverage, yes," Marlowe said. "And if she's leverage, we've got time. Barely." His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop digging, Marlowe, or the girl dies." Attached was a photo. Emily, alive, terrified, tied to a chair. Marlowe's grip tightened until his knuckles went white. "Son of a bitch," he muttered. Rosa leaned over his shoulder, eyes wide. "They know we're close." Marlowe pocketed the phone, his mind racing. This wasn't just a kidnapping. This was a message, and Harbor City's darkest players had just made it personal. That night, Marlowe drove past the Carter mansion. Lights glowed in the windows, and David Carter stood alone on the porch, a glass of whiskey in hand. His face was pale, haunted. Marlowe pulled over, stepping out into the rain. "Mr. Carter?" David barely looked at him. "Detective, are you hiding something?" Marlowe asked bluntly. David's jaw tightened. "What kind of question is that?" "The kind that saves your daughter's life." Marlowe shot back. "Holtz said fathers hide things, so tell me, what aren't you telling me?" David's hand trembled around the glass. For a moment he said nothing. Then, finally, "There are people I owe money to. Bad people. I thought I could keep it separate. But maybe this is about me, not Emily." Marlowe cursed under his breath. Another piece of the puzzle clicked into place. Emily Carter wasn't just prey, she was collateral. The storm outside intensified, thunder rumbling across Harbor City. Marlowe knew one thing: the deeper he dug, the more rot he uncovered. Emily's fate was tangled in debts, predators, and a city that thrived on shadows. And somewhere in that darkness, Raymond Holtz was waiting, smiling. The storm hadn't let up. Rain slashed down Harbor City's skyline like knives, flooding alleys and beating against windshields. Detective Jack Marlowe felt the weight of it in his bones. Emily Carter's photo was still burned into his phone screen, her eyes wide with terror. He'd seen too many faces like that in his career. Girls swallowed by the city's underbelly, never to come back. Not this time. In the squad room, Rosa Vega slammed a folder onto the desk. We pulled Carter's financials. You were right. He's deep in debt. A gambling trail tied to an outfit called the Meridian Syndicate. Marlowe's stomach sank. He'd heard the name before. An old crime ring that ran rackets across the docks, laundering money through nightclubs and import-export fronts. They were ghosts, but dangerous ones. So Emily's not just random prey, Marlowe muttered. She's collateral for her father's sins, which means if Carter doesn't pay up, she disappears for good. Marlowe finished grimly. That evening, they traced a lead to the South Harbor docks, a part of the city that smelled of rust and salt, where abandoned warehouses loomed like tombs. Rosa checked her gun. We sure about this? No, Marlowe said, pulling his coat tight against the rain, but ghosts leave footprints, and the syndicate likes to hide in plain sight. They slipped into warehouse 17 through a side door, the echo of dripping water following them inside. The place was half empty, stacked crates, forklifts, chains dangling from hooks, but voices carried from an upstairs office, muffled through broken glass. Marlowe motioned for silence. Together they crept up the stairs until they could see inside. 3 men sat around a table. 2 were muscle, broad, shouldered with pistols at their belts. The third was Raymond Holtz. Coach, Rosa whispered. Holtz leaned forward, speaking to the others. The girls leverage, that's all. Carter coughs up the money, we make the handoff. Until then, she stays put. Marlowe's blood boiled. He wanted to storm in, drag Holtz across the table, but he held back. Timing mattered. One of the thugs lit a cigarette, and if the cops sniff around, Holtz smirked. Then the girl becomes disposable. Rosa's fingers curled into fists. Marlowe touched her arm. Not yet. He pulled out his phone, snapped a quick photo of the men inside, then whispered, "We've got them. Let's get back up." But as they turned to leave, the floorboard under Rosa's boot creaked. Holtz's head snapped up. "Someone's here," he barked. Gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through the wooden walls, splintering beams. Marlowe shoved Rosa down the stairwell as plaster rained around them. "Go, go, go," he shouted. They sprinted through the warehouse, weaving between crates as gunmen poured out of the office above. The air filled with the staccato crack of pistols, each shot sparking off metal. Marlowe ducked behind a forklift, returning fire. One thug dropped with a scream, clutching his leg. Rosa covered the exit. "Move." They burst into the storm, rain mixing with gunpowder in the air. Tires screeched as a black van roared to life near the docks. Through the windshield, Marlowe saw Holtz in the passenger seat, smirking as the vehicle sped off into the night. Emily Carter was in that van. He felt it in his gut. They gave chase in Marlowe's beat-up Ford, wipers thrashing against the downpour. The van fishtailed across the slick streets, headlights cutting through sheets of rain. "Don't lose him," Rosa yelled. "I'm trying not to die, thanks," Marlowe growled, swerving to avoid a delivery truck. The van took a sharp turn onto Riverfront Avenue, nearly clipping a hydrant. Marlowe floored the gas, closing the distance. A side door slid open. One of Holtz's men leaned out with an Uzi. Down, Rosa screamed. Bullets shredded Marlowe's windshield, glass exploding across the dash. He swerved hard, metal screaming as the Ford side wiped a lamppost. Rosa fired through her cracked window. The gunman toppled from the van, disappearing into the wet asphalt with a sickening thud. "Nice shot," Marlowe gritted. "Don't jinx me." The van screeched onto an overpass, tires spitting water. Marlowe pushed the Ford harder, engine growling in protest. But just as they gained ground, the van veered suddenly, smashing through a barricade and plunging down a maintenance ramp toward the old storm tunnels. "Son of a bitch," Marlowe hissed. He yanked the wheel, following them into darkness. The storm tunnels were a labyrinth of dripping concrete and echoing shadows. Headlights bounced wildly off graffiti, stained walls as the chase twisted deeper underground. Finally, the van skidded to a stop inside a massive chamber. Holtz and his last remaining thug bolted, dragging something from the back. Someone bound, struggling. Emily. Marlowe and Rosa leapt from the car, guns drawn. "Police, drop her." Rosa shouted. The thug raised his weapon. Rosa fired first. One clean shot. He collapsed, the sound echoing like thunder. Holtz froze, knife at Emily's throat. Rainwater dripped from the ceiling, mixing with the girl's tears. "Easy now," Holtz said, grinning. "One more step, and she's gone." Marlowe steadied his aim, heart pounding. "Let her go, Holtz. This isn't leverage anymore, it's murder." Holtz's eyes glinted. "Murder's just another kind of trade." For a split second, everything slowed. The flicker of the tunnel lights, the sound of water rushing, Emily's terrified eyes. Then Marlowe fired. The shot rang out, deafening. Holtz staggered, blood blossoming on his shoulder. Emily broke free, stumbling into Rosa's arms. But before Marlowe could move, Holtz slipped into the shadows of the tunnel, vanishing into the labyrinth. "Damn it!" Marlowe roared, lowering his gun. Emily sobbed against Rosa's chest. He said there are more girls." Marlowe's stomach turned cold. This wasn't just about Emily Carter anymore. Holtz was part of something larger, something rotten that reached deeper into Harbor City than Marlowe had ever imagined. And now the hunt wasn't just about saving one girl, it was about dismantling an entire empire of predators. The storm raged on outside, but inside the tunnel, Marlowe made a silent vow. Raymond Holtz would not disappear into the shadows again. Next time, there would be no escape. Emily Carter sat wrapped in a blanket at Harbor General Hospital, nurses checking her vitals while her parents hovered anxiously nearby. Marlowe stood in the hallway with Rosa, rain dripping from his coat. "She's safe for now," Rosa said softly. Marlowe lit a cigarette, ignoring the hospital's no smoking signs. "Safe doesn't cut it. Holtz is still out there, and if Emily's right, there are more girls. We finish this, or it never ends." Rosa met his eyes. "Then we finish it." 2 nights later, the lead came from an unlikely source. Travis Kane, released after Emily cleared his name, the young coach approached Marlowe with a nervous urgency. "There's an old theater downtown," Travis said. "Holtz used it sometimes. He called it his rehearsal hall. I thought it was just him being creepy, but if he's hiding girls anywhere, that's the place." Marlowe's jaw clenched. "Show me." The Harbor Royale Theater had once been the city's jewel, a 1920s Art Deco palace with chandeliers and velvet seats. Now it was boarded up, paint peeling, rats scurrying through the gutters. The marquee still clung to life, letters missing, the word ROILA flickering in neon. Marlowe and Rosa pulled up in an unmarked cruiser, both armed to the teeth. Backup was on standby, but Marlowe wanted first crack at Holtz himself. They slipped inside through a side door. The smell of mildew and rot hit instantly. Flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing faded posters and broken mirrors. Somewhere deep inside, faint music echoed, tinny jazz from a scratched record player. "Creepy son of a bitch," Rosa muttered. They moved cautiously down a hall, guns raised. Then the music stopped. A voice drifted through the theater, amplified by the empty acoustics. "Detective Marlowe, I knew you'd come." Holtz. On stage, under a single spotlight, Raymond Holtz stood in a rumpled suit, blood-stained bandage on his shoulder. Around him, cages sat in the orchestra pit. Girls, 6, maybe 7, huddled inside, their eyes wide with fear. Marlowe's chest tightened. Emily had been telling the truth. This was bigger than one kidnapping. Holtz spread his arms like a showman. "Welcome to the grand finale." "Step away from them, Holtz," Marlowe barked. Holtz laughed, a sound that echoed off the cracked ceiling. "You don't get it, do you? Harbor City doesn't change. You cut off one head, 2 more grow back. I'm just part of the machine. Then you're the part I'm shutting down," Marlowe growled. Rosa flanked left, aiming at the cages. "Keys, now." Holtz smirked. "You'll have to take them." He dangled a ring of keys in one hand, then tossed them into the orchestra pit. Gunfire exploded from the balcony above. Syndicate Muscle 4 men with rifles opened fire, forcing Marlowe and Rosa into cover behind the rows of ruined seats. "Ambush," Rosa shouted. Marlowe returned fire, splinters flying as bullets chewed through the wood. One gunman fell, tumbling over the railing, another reloaded, only to catch Rosa's round to the chest. The last two kept firing, pinning them down. Holtz strolled casually across the stage, unfazed by the chaos. "See," he called, "the city's on my side, always has been." Marlowe gritted his teeth. "Not tonight." He vaulted over the seats, rolling into the orchestra pit. Snatching up the keys, he unlocked the cages, one by one. The girls scrambled free, Rosa covering them with precise shots. "Go, run," Marlowe urged, pointing them toward the exit. Holtz snarled, pulling a pistol from his coat. "Not so fast." The moment slowed. Marlowe spun, firing twice. Holtz's gun clattered across the stage as a bullet ripped through his hand. He screamed, clutching the wound. The last syndicate gunman charged from the balcony, but Rosa dropped him with a clean headshot. Silence fell, broken only by the rain hammering the roof. Holtz staggered back, his smirk returning despite the blood. "You think this ends me? I'm nothing compared to what's coming. The syndicate has roots in this city deeper than the sewers. You kill me, someone worse takes my place." Marlowe climbed onto the stage, revolver steady. His coat dripped rainwater, his face hard as stone. "Then I'll be here waiting." Holtz chuckled darkly. "You don't have the stomach. You're a cop. Cops play by rules." Marlowe's finger tightened on the trigger. For a heartbeat, he considered ending it right there, putting a bullet between Holtz's eyes. The city would be better off. But Rosa's voice cut through the haze. "Jack, don't. We need him alive, for the girls, for the trial." Marlowe's jaw flexed. Then, finally, he lowered the gun. "You're done, Holtz," he said. "No more shadows." He cuffed the man roughly, yanking him to his knees. The raid made headlines the next morning. Harbor police bust, trafficking rings. Evan girls rescued. The city called Marlowe and Vega heroes, but Marlowe didn't feel like one. Holtz was locked away, awaiting trial, but the Meridian Syndicate still lingered in the dark, pulling strings from the shadows. Marlowe stood outside the courthouse, cigarette glowing in the dawn light. Rosa joined him, sipping coffee. "You should feel good," she said. "You saved those girls." Marlowe exhaled smoke, eyes on the city skyline. "Yeah, but Harbor City doesn't change. Today it was Holtz, tomorrow someone else." Rosa nudged him with her elbow. "Then we'll keep fighting tomorrow, too." For the first time in days, Marlowe allowed a faint smile. The city was rotten, sure, but as long as he was breathing, he'd keep tearing the rot out, piece by bloody piece. The shadows were still there, but so was he. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.